What is up, my friends? GeoCamel here, and this is the first video that I have filmed in almost half a year, almost 6 months, which feels really crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. Now, you're probably wondering, why haven't you made any videos in the last 6 months? I mean, you're probably wondering why you should care. But if you do care, you're probably wondering why I haven't been making videos. Is it that I'm lazy, or I suffered a sudden heart attack? And well, I am a really lazy person and am constantly on the brink of deadly heart attacks. It's actually for another reason. You might have noticed that the room behind me looks a little bit different. That's because I moved. Somewhat unexpectedly too. But yeah, I recently moved from up in Chico, California, up here in the northeast of the state, about 2.5 hours southwest to the Bay Area. This was actually a move that I've been wanting to make for quite some time. Just didn't really know when the time was going to be right. Turns out the time was right about 3 months ago, something like that. I mean, I've always loved it down here. So much more of a multicultural community. I mean, I have a Tibetan monastery just up the hill from me. I have the ability to go eat, Yemeni food, Guatemalan food. I just saw an Armenian pianist play in SF. It's just, the possibilities are endless here, and I love engaging with such a bigger and more diverse community here. So anyways, enough talking about my move. I'll fill you guys in on some of the cool stuff I've been up to over the course of the next couple videos, but most importantly, I want to get back to the GeoGuessr. I am back. I am intending to make videos semi-regularly again. I want to get back to my duels and everything. I actually didn't stop playing GeoGuessr while I was on my YouTube hiatus. Almost the opposite. I actually started playing more GeoGuessr, and I think I've gotten a lot better. I mean, it's always hard to gauge this stuff, but I've certainly learned a lot of new stuff, particularly in certain countries. Getting back into filming videos has definitely had me thinking about how far I've come in my GeoGuessr journey as of late. And so one of the things that I did before I started filming today is I actually looked back on my first video, and I thought it would be a really interesting thing to kind of do a little revisitation to the first thing I ever filmed for the GeoGuessr channel as a kind of watermark for how far my skills have come. Now, this was my first video. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was a lot worse at GeoGuessr, but basically I was just playing a community world NMPZ and trying to see how high of a score I could get, really. I think the highest I got, it was like a little over 20,000. It was not too impressive. Yeah, 20,525. That was the best I got in this like 16-minute video. So today we're just gonna really do the same thing, play the same map, NMPZ, and see if we can beat that score. And I really think it's less of a question of can we beat the 20.5K, and more so a question of by how much are we going to beat the 25 or the 20.5K. I think personally by a good amount, but we're just gonna have to go ahead and see. We are playing ACW after all. It is not necessarily the hardest map. So with this ladder pole like structure here, we should be in Cambodia. And we are seeing a big hill, which is very atypical of Cambodia. It's to the northwest. Now, there are a lot of hills around this area here where I'm clicking. So I figure it's somewhere around there maybe, and we're looking northwest at some hills. So it should be generally in the area, except it's not. It's across the country. Yes, there are hills here too. And then there's like a big ridge, I know, in between some of these stretches of Thailand and Cambodia that kind of help make up the border, but that knowledge didn't seem to help me so much in that instance. Let's see what we got here. This doesn't look so typical. I think, even though the NMPZ makes this kind of tough, I think this might be Curacao. I don't know if I'm totally tripping. Like I said, guys, apologies, I'm not cracked on the, at least I got it. But yeah, I'm not cracked on the NMPZ yet. Been playing tons of no moves, so that's really gonna be my forte, so to say. We've got a B-type guardrail here, which is where the these guardrails are more flat. They have less of a big and round indent, and that kind of leaves a couple possibilities. Just doing the good old manual zoom to see what I can see. Yeah, looks like it's gonna be Denmark. I see a Denmark type of like sign down there, I believe, which is totally pretty hard to see. Don't blame me if you can't catch that. I was considering Germany for a moment, which also uses that type of guardrail, but that's some very useful meta if you don't know about that. The guardrails can really slim things down in Europe. This is just a classic Uruguay. Partially just the coverage kind of overcast, the type of lines match up, the soil, the grass, everything, but also we got a very classic Uruguay pole over here, so that really helps. I'm gonna click center of the country because, wow, okay. Hardly ever gotten rounds on this top road, the 30. I do click center a lot in Uruguay because it's tough for me to region guess and it's so small. So, I mean, it looks like we're probably going to beat that score from my very first video on this first round, even though this game is not feeling like my best. I'm just gonna look in there. So we got the Stoby poles, one of the most classic metas you can really get in GeoGuessr. That is gonna mean South Australia. But as to where in South Australia, that is a bit of a struggle for me. So I think I'll be going around here, but I don't think we lose enough points to not beat the score. And it's like a bad guess. Like that's pretty much objectively, like once you see the Stoby pole, I mean, I effectively kind of got a good amount across the area that it could have been. But even there, you can see we beat that score quite handily, 22,334. Let's just go in for another one. I think we can beat that as well. Just got to get the right seed, really. Like I said, not the hardest map. You'll probably see me playing some harder maps soon, but this is just what I wanted to play back in 2023. And I think that the comparison is already, it's quite a marked comparison here. Is this actually, yeah, that's looking like low cam. So I thought this was Taiwan for a second because it's just looking kind of warm. I don't know, I don't really know why, but yeah, anyways, this should be Japan instead because that's looking like a wide blur. And if it's Japan, it's definitely not north. Don't know if I would go so far as to go down to Okinawa, so I think I'll just do southern Kyushu. I think that works. Oh, it's way up there. Yeah, so Japan, when you don't have the cut and dry like pole metas, the pole plates, the pole tops, all that kind of stuff, guide wires, there's so much stuff you can learn about Japan. You can get very precise with it, but when you don't have any of that, it kind of goes back to being a really tough country to region guess. This may not be the seed to really beat the score I got there last. It was like 22.3. And here's another country that I'm quite bad at, so I think I'm just gonna kind of power through this. I mean, it's not a horrible region guess, but you know, I'm still really trying to get a grip on South Africa, particularly middle areas. Like it's very easy to kind of get this area around Cape Town. I've been okay at recognizing like maybe Durban to Pietermaritzburg, and you can kind of get a little bit of a vibe for like Joburg, Pretoria gives kind of like capital vibes, and then this area up here, they all have their own vibe, and that I can get, but then you start getting these in-between areas and I start to struggle with where the landscape blends. And so for a moment I thought we were driving left here. We're not driving left because it's just a one lane type of thing. This one I actually don't know. I mean, it kind of looks like Monaco. Not, it's probably just like a France or Italy. But you know, this is already not the seed to beat my, yeah, it's Monaco. Probably to beat the last score on. So like I said, we're just gonna power through this. That type of pole, you can get something like that in Italy, which might match up. the rolled up hay bales really reminds me of kind of Central Europe. But yeah, since it is already a bad seed, we're just gonna see what Italy can get done. So it was Croatia. Oh, and by the way, guys, welcome to my new life, because my internet is really bad now. So sometimes just gotta refresh. Hopefully that won't be a trend for long. I might eventually get it replaced. It looks like an Indo, which is bad news for trying to get a good score, I think. Indo's definitely one of the harder ones. I am seeing, I mean, it looks like we got an even pole there, and it's at least partially metal. Makes me think that it could possibly be West Kalimantan, but like, I just don't have a lot to go off of here, and I'm just trying to finish the seed. Okay. We're just gonna jump into another seed. This will probably be my last one for the day. I mean, already showed quite a significant improvement over the score from like a year and a half ago, or however long ago that was. I can't quite remember. We've got an Indonesia plate here. You can see there's like two little black, I don't know, lines. I can't remember what they actually are, but blurred, they look like lines. This dude doing what I would do if I had a Google car pass me, which, by the way, guys, I did have a Google Street View car pass me. That's another thing that just hyped me up. Just soon after moving, I was in Berkeley, and one drove past me, so I'm really hyped. I might actually have to find that intersection when they publish that. I'll give it a few months and see if they publish that, and see if I'm officially on Google Street View now, because that would be just so cool. Personal goals right there. Kind of tough. I mean, like I said, we know it's Indonesia. We got some tiled roofs of this building here, but it's not, you know, a typical building. It's not a house, so I don't know how much that guarantees. To me, I think we're high elevation, which reminds me of a couple places. So you got like maybe up here in North Sumatra, that's pretty high elevation. There's some of the mountains in like South Sulawesi reminds me of. I mean, you can get places like that in Java. Like I said, we got the tiled roofs, which a lot of people, including myself, are gonna think Java first, and then maybe Lampung, and I think you get some in the far south of like Sulawesi. Yeah, not much more I can tell here. Do I get a Sumatra vibe? I just can't tell. This is one of those ones where you just probably send. I don't know. I do not know. Let's see if it's around Lake Toba. Why not? And it was just up on, actually in between two volcanoes in Java. Actually, very cool round. Since that is a bad score, we're just gonna reset. All right. So we're in for one final game. If it turns out a wreck, you know, whatever. I think we already kind of proved that I've grown, at least since I started filming videos, you know, a year and a half ago, or however long ago that was. We've got all these Italian plates in Italian language, so they're not really gonna challenge us much on this one. Looks, I would say, pretty far south. We got a lot of white buildings. And we can see there's some land here kind of to the south, and we're looking kind of southwest. I wonder if it could be like in this area. I know it does remind me a bit of like some of the pictures I've seen of like Bari. And there's land stretching around to the south. That explain it. Like Taranto. I'm saying it just like it's Toronto, Canada. That's a bunch of train tracks. That doesn't really look like a touristy area. Like, this guy's obviously a tourist, but like it should wrap around on the eastern side. I mean, that does match. I mean, there's other stuff that kind of matches a similar vibe around here. It should look like a concave kind of like, I mean, is this too far away? Because, how do you say it? Gallipoli? That definitely matches. Like something like around there. It does look like we're out on like an old kind of like port wall like this, like kind of reminds me of one I saw in Greece. I think that's probably the best guess I can do. I could totally see it being possible to be like Sicily, but it just doesn't seem right. It seems more like the southern like mainland. Yeah, I think it won't be. I think we'll get pretty close. Holy shit, that's basically a 5K. I mean, as long, oh man, I totally could have had that as a 5K. That's a great guess though. I'm not complaining about that. That's actually a very hype guess. I didn't even like do angle checking. Like that wasn't, if I had just tried a little bit harder. And then here's a round that we're gonna get a far worse score on. Probably US, maybe Dakotas. I think Sun South, as far as I can tell. Yeah, I think it reminds me most of North or South Dakota. Can't really say why. I think there's pretty much no meta here for me. The problem with this type of round is you could go South Dakota and then it winds up being like below, like it could be like fucking New Mexico. It could be like Oklahoma somehow, or I don't know, like Wyoming or something. But yeah, I think I just get the like Dakota vibe here, so maybe I'll just put it in the like north middle of South Dakota. And yeah, not bad. Wrong state, but honestly, by this region of the US's standards, getting a 4,400 score on a round like that is not too bad. I mean, yeah, it looks like Indo, but boy, we do not have much to go off of. It's a bit tough. It's a bit tough. I don't blame myself if I really screw this one up. Just trying to buy myself time at this point. I kind of don't get the Sumatra vibe, so yeah. And I'm going, from what I'm going off, we're seeing like a sheet metal roof, so that doesn't super give me a Java vibe either. Although you can see them there. It could be a Sula. I'm trying to think about what I would do in a duel here. I might literally hedge. I mean, I guess it is helpful to see. One is probably north. I mean, most of Indonesia is down there, so am I crazy to just do a hedge like this? I mean, we're just we're not playing a duel here, but at the same time, I'll just go far south Sula. And it is like as far across the country as you could possibly get, near Medan in North Sumatra. It's a shame we didn't have any polls that might have helped me there, but you know, Indonesia is still a struggle and just universally one of the harder countries, but very fun. It's a very fun country, so you know, it has a lot going for it, even if it causes pain like it did there. This is gonna be Portugal. We're just seeing Portuguese there, and it's looking European. I'm not really sure where it is. I guess I'm just gonna click on Coimbra. I think that's how you say it. Apologies if that's not, and it's really not a bad guess, but there isn't really coming back from the, well, I think we'll get the city here. There isn't really coming back from that one round. Indo's just a tough country. But yeah, I think this should be just La Paz. It just looks familiar to me. It's just massive sprawl with mountains kind of as like an outer rim. Can I get even more specific than that? Probably not. Probably go somewhere around there. And yep, correct city, kind of across the city. But honestly, aside from the Indo, that was actually a really solid game. Ironically, not beating our best score of that first video there, but at least we had the like 22.3. I know I can do a lot better. Might come back with some more of this type of video, just seeing how good of a score I can get on like mostly NMPZ probably, because I'm trying to get better at that, even though NM has been stronger for me. But you'll probably see me do this on harder maps next time to really throw a spanner in the works. Anyways, I've been GeoCamel. Thank you so much for joining me for my first video back in 6 months. You can expect a lot more coming soon. Really appreciate every one of you. If you want to like and subscribe, good on you, but I don't do that whole pressure thing, so, do what you want, man. All right, y'all have a good one.